Bob and Sheri, sponsored by Bank of America Customized Cash Rewards Credit Card. You can earn 3% cash back on online shopping, making the essentials even more rewarding. Here's Bob and Sheri.
Speaking of people regularly regarded as second-class citizens,
It's the Bob and Sheri Show with Bob.
I'm not here to be consistent. I'm here to be Bob.
And Sheri.
Boom! Who can argue with that?
And now broadcasting from the palatial Bob and Sheri studios, it's Bob and Sheri.
All right, we got a show for you today. Still to come this week, we have the People's Movie Critic reviewing Clickbait on Netflix. We're also going to talk with our good friend, Kristen Hampton. She's a TV reporter, and she and her wife have taken to the road. They live in their van. They're doing that whole van life thing, traveling the country. She's going to join us on the show tomorrow. So we're going to talk about that. And right now, Bob, I have something for you that I stumbled across last night late while I was on YouTube, watching what's left of my mortal life draining away. And it landed on a video that I hadn't seen since it aired on television. And it was Jennifer Hudson's American Idol audition. So I was still watching American Idol when Jennifer Hudson auditioned that season. And I remember being blown away by this person's talent, but I hadn't seen that particular audition clip in forever. And she actually sang an Aretha song at her Idol audition.
Well, for people who don't know, she portrayed Aretha in the movie Respect, which is available right now. And she did a fantastic job. I saw the movie and she was absolutely wonderful. And between the time that you're talking about and now, she's appeared in our studio live.
Yeah. Well, this is why I'm bringing this up, because I watched it and I thought, I know Bob wasn't watching American Idol back then. And she just played Aretha. And, she's like a Tony Award away from having them all. She got an Emmy. She's got an Oscar. She's got a Grammy. She's one more award away from being an EGOT winner, which is a great big thing in show business. And Bob was absolutely blown away by her performance as Aretha Franklin. So I thought she saved
the movie, really. I mean, and that's not just me saying that. I think the New York Times said that too. They said it's not a great movie, but it's a good movie, and it's a good movie because of Jennifer Hudson.
Well, I thought it would be kind of fun to kick off today's show by going down the rabbit hole with Jennifer Hudson.
Bob and Sheri go.
Down the rabbit hole.
Someone who was much more upfront, Jennifer Hudson.
Jennifer Hudson from Chicago, Illinois.
Yes, sir.
Says that you just finished work on a Disney cruise ship?
Yes. Yes.
We're going to expect something better than a cruise ship performance, right? Mm-hmm. Today?
Yeah, definitely that.
You're here because you think you're the next American Idol?
Yes, I do.
You think you're the best that we can find in America?
Yes.
All right, what you going to sing?
Share Your Love With Me by Aretha Franklin.
Good.
Okay,
right.
Go for it.
All right. It's an evil wind that blows no good, yeah, yeah. It's a sad heart that won't love like I know it should. Oh, how lonesome you must be. It's a shame if you don't share some of your love with me. It's a heartache, it's a heartache when love is gone. But it's bad and even sad all later on. And there's no one blinder than you won't see.
Thank you.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. The best singer I've heard so far. Brilliant.
Wow, thank you so
Paula?
much.
No doubt about it. You can sing your behind off. You got an excellent voice.
Very good.
Thank you.
Very, very good. Randy, yes or no?
Definitely yes for me.
Paula?
Amen.
Jennifer? See you in Hollywood.
Thank you so much.
Welcome to Hollywood, girl.
I'm going
So let me remind y'all that
we need to apologize to all cruise ship entertainers before we do anything else, because actually they're pretty good usually.
she didn't. Let me remind you, she didn't win American Idol that season.
No,
You're
she
kidding.
didn't. No.
No. Jennifer Hudson is not an American Idol winner. And if that, just sit with that for a second. If Jennifer Hudson couldn't win American Idol, who beat her that year? Do you know, Max?
I don't know. I'm
I'm
sure.
going
I
to ask my
guarantee you,
Google right now.
It's probably no one anybody knows.
Let's see.
I don't know how you beat that. I mean,
not
she's
Taylor Hicks.
First of all, the idea of coming out and covering Aretha Franklin. You know, if I were out there, they'd say, "And what are you going to do?" I'm going to cover my uncle George. You know, Aretha.
Actually, you have heard of the person that beat Jennifer Hudson. It was Fantasia Barrino. Fantasia.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Fantasia. And that was another one where the voice was like, you couldn't believe what you were hearing.
Yeah, she's great. I mean, there's no two ways about it. That's a tough call now that you mention it. I remember Simon Cowell saying, I want you to sing Something's Got a Hold of Me, which is a very, very hard Tina Turner song to cover.
And she did. Listen, Jennifer Hudson wasn't even the runner-up that season on American Idol. That was Diana DeGarmo. All right, keep it here. Big Thursday show for you. It is Bob and Sheri.
Bob and Sheri, live tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern. Tonight, live on the Bob and Sheri Facebook page.
You know, when you think about, we just played Jennifer Hudson's audition video in the rabbit hole for American Idol, and she's just this incredible talent. She's gone on to win, Emmy, Oscar, Grammy. She's one away from the EGOT. She didn't win American Idol. She wasn't even the first runner-up. She got bounced fairly early in the season, and it just makes you think like, but for a couple of breaks or doors that opened versus closing, Jennifer Hudson would never have made it in show business. It makes me wonder how many people are out there who are so filled with talent who just never had their moment or their opportunity.
I think there are a lot, but I don't know that there are that many that can be in the same level that she is. I do, it's interesting what you bring up. I do wonder if she had not had that exposure, even though she didn't win American Idol, if she had not had that exposure, if she would have been in some way discovered. It's hard to believe that somebody didn't pick her up as, I don't know, backup singer in Los Angeles or New York, that there wasn't some sort of way to get in there. For a lot of singers, the problem is not just the voice, but you have to have the platform, and more importantly, you got to have the song.
Got to have the song. You really do. Yeah.
I mean, Whitney Houston was told by Clive Davis, "You've got, a couple of hits there. You're doing really good. People like you a lot. You don't have a song." And it was not until she did the Dolly Parton song that she really was identified with a great piece of music.
You're so right about the song. I was listening to music. I was cleaning up some stuff in the house and had my earbuds in, and I was listening to my music on shuffle, and an Adele song came on. And Adele, of course, writes her songs, right?
Yeah.
And has that incredible voice and that unbelievable. She's just an amazing thing. But I'm listening to Adele, and Adele doesn't just have the song. Adele has a handful of the songs that are career defining and life changing. The thing about, like, if you really put your earbuds in and go deep on your Adele, it's going to take you to a certain headspace. I found myself sitting on the couch, drinking bourbon and smoking cigarettes and crying. And I've never been a smoker, but that's what Adele will do to you. Adele will take you from like, I'm having a pretty good day, sun shining, woo, to why did I ever love a man? I mean, it'll just bring you down so hard. There are some singers that can do what they used to call torch songs. Oh, yeah.
And there's only a few that really do them great. Sinatra, back in his era, was one of them. His son said that Sinatra did some torch songs and put them all on one album. And his son, Frank Sinatra Jr., said, "You should only buy this album with a prescription, because you're not going to be right after you listen to the whole thing." He does a song called "One for My Baby and One More for the Rose." And it's like, "Set him up, Joe." He's talking to a bartender in the song, and he's just been dumped. And he's sitting at a bar with a cigarette, and he's asking for the third drink. from the bartender. I mean, it's just, oh, if you were in a really light mood, you're not going to be after that song. And what you're talking about with the Adele song is the same thing.
I mean, I'm like cruising along, and I'm just like, keep, recycle, throw away, keep, recycle, throw away. And in my ears comes Adele singing Love in the Dark. And it was like 10:30 on a Saturday morning. I went from like keep, recycle, throw away at 10:30 on a Saturday morning to the fetal position on the couch, looking at every bad life choice I'd ever made where men are concerned. It was so bad.
See, that's when you have to play Walking on Sunshine. You have to break it with something that's light and fluffy.
I barely had the strength to reach for my phone. Listen to this. Oh my God.
There's so much space between us. Baby, we're already defeated. Everything changed me.
That's why guys are lucky. We don't listen to lyrics as closely.
My husband came in and he's like, what's wrong? I was like, I don't have the strength. Can you shuffle to Outkast's Hey Ya? Can you get me to Hey Ya?
That's a good one, yeah, to break.
Morons in the News is next. It's Bob and Sheri.
Bob and Sheri.
You idiot.
Here they are.
He's a moron. He's acting like a complete idiot.
Morons in the News.
Okay, if you're going to be a criminal, you have to keep in the back of your mind that you might get caught. And if you get caught, you should have one or two plans. The first plan is you have amazing excuses why you are not guilty. And the other one is just to say, hands in the air, I did it. This woman did not do that. Here's the headline. Woman stuffs keys into her mouth after telling police she was not driving. This is from Wichita Falls, and a Wichita Falls woman with numerous past arrests and convictions was arrested again after police said they found 10 ID or debit cards belonging to other people in a car at a convenience store. An officer said, as he was questioning Riley Sage Weiss, who is 23 years old, she stuffed keys, a small cross, and money into her mouth. So he squeezed the sides of her mouth to make sure she wasn't swallowing any evidence. An officer had stopped at the Southwest Parkway and Taft Wednesday morning to investigate an unoccupied car parked parallel to the store's entrance. He went in and he asked wife if the car outside was hers. She said, no, it's not mine. But later told officers, it's my husband's. And he dropped her off, and then my husband walked away. While questioning her, the officer said Weiss pushed a key fob in her hand, and the lights of the car flashed. So, yes, that was her car. The officer detained Weiss for further questioning, and then she put the keys into her mouth. So the officer grabbed the sides of her mouth and squeezed so she could not swallow the keys. He may have saved her life if the idiot decided to do that. I wonder if you swallowed a fob, if it was a smart key, could you back up to the car and it would still open?
I don't know about backing up to the car, but everywhere else you back up, woo, that's going to feel like that commercial where they're singing about passing a porcupine. That's not going to be good.
You're right about that. So he finally, cops do so much. After retrieving the keys out of her mouth, the officer said she gave him permission to search the car, and he found a wallet with a man's ID, a debit card, a social security card for a different person. Another wallet was found in the passenger seat with an ID card and 6 debit cards to another woman. The officer said Weiss then admitted to driving the car to the store and parking it sideways so she could run in. But then she said she changed the story and said she was not driving but was a passenger, and she didn't know where the driver went. She was previously arrested a couple of times, and she is now in custody. What a convoluted... You know, here's where she made her big mistake. If she had just pulled into the convenience store and parked in a regular spot, cop might have just driven right by. It was when she parked it sideways, which is weird, that he stopped and went in, and the keys went in the mouth.
The keys went in her mouth because there are no adults. We don't have a single adult left in the United States of America. Right. We are all 4 years old. Today's moron of the day is a Florida mom who's been charged with helping her son and one of his friends beat up another middle schooler. Her name is Ashley Ruffin, and not only did she grab the child by his hair and hold him down while her son and the other boy repeatedly hit him, she was spotted displaying a taser. Deputies from Flagler County Sheriff's Office were called into the scene. After the victim's mother reported watching the attack, she jumped into the fight to help her son. Ashley Ruffin is being charged. Her husband took her side and refused to allow the cops to talk to his wife or his son, but she's been arrested anyway. And her mugshot is the face of a woman who is thinking this. That's right, I beat your kid up. I'm going to beat you up as soon as I make bond and get out of here.
I know that face.
Wait till you see this face. It's going to haunt your nightmares. We're going to post it right now on the Bob and Sheri Facebook. Now, keep it here because not only is it Throwback Thursday, but we've lost a comedy great. We have lost the legendary Norm Macdonald to a very private 9-year battle with cancer. We're going to feature Norm and Everyone Needs a Laugh. Plus, we've got a ugly divorce involving a frozen brain. Oh, just a big show for you. It's Bob and Sheri.
Bob and Sheri, live tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern. Tonight, live on the Bob and Sheri Facebook page.
Okay, it's time now for Bob and Sheri's Small Plates. These are stories from around our great country and around the world, really, that you may have missed. And the first one comes to us from the beautiful city of Charleston, South Carolina, where a couple of days ago, a very luxurious vessel made a stop in the Charleston harbor. The name of this ship is Fountainhead. And you know that if you have a boat that's named, it's very often a big, big boat. This is a mega yacht, and it is owned by an executive. It is valued at $130 million. It's privately owned by this guy. It measures 288 feet. And the thing that really jumped out at me, the guy who owns this boat is the chairman of Sears Holding Company, which controls Sears and Kmart. And I don't know, just somehow the idea that Sears and Kmart are involved with this guy's success so much that he's got a $130 million toy that looks like a battleship just is a disconnect to me somehow.
I can't remember the last time I saw a Sears or a Kmart. I know they're out there.
I know. I guess there are still some, but that you're right. They'd been struggling for so long, and yet, as always is the case, the guy at the top walks away with the money.
I'm starting to think that being a CEO is a pretty cush gig. Now, I don't know a lot
something.
I don't know a lot about business, so maybe I'm wrong, but it looks like there might be something to that job.
All right, well, we don't have that kind of money, but we might be able to Duke Max, if he can get this gig, about $1,000 for a one-day deal, because I think this is perfect for Max. I saw this ad online. Wedding date wanted for mother-in-law. Pay $1,000 in the Hudson Valley. Good morning to everyone in the Hudson Valley. This bride posted this. Hello, I'm looking for a wedding date for my mother-in-law for Friday evening to Saturday evening for a wedding in Hudson Valley. She needs constant attention and supervision. She will probably wear white and try to escalate small dramas. Your job is simply to distract and de-escalate. Flatter her for 2 days and make an easy $1,000. So it's a little bit more than 1 day. It's about a day and a half. You need to be a good conversationalist, a de-escalator, a good dancer, experience with narcissistic people, and you need to be able to sit and dance with said mother-in-law. You must be able to give her your undivided attention. Ideal age range between 40 and 60-ish. She is 51, slim, and attractive. You have to have your own suit to wear. We will provide background information, conversation topics, a hotel room, your own, of course, food, and travel expenses. Please send a photo of yourself and a quick blurb indicating your interest and qualifications. And you will also need to be able to be okay with running a background check. Sheri, is that not perfect for him?
Everything except for being a dancer. That's the only one that's sort of stuck out to me.
I knew you were going to say that.
It's that I'm really not much of a dancer. But you know, one thing that I found out about dancing, as long as you're a gamer and don't care what people think, people give you a pass.
I think you're exactly right. And you're not going to be that bad of a dancer. You know, you don't have to get up there, and bust the latest moves. Just move her around the floor a little bit. And there you go. You're all set, right?
You know what, Max? It doesn't matter that you don't think you're a good dancer. I know that you would get out there and try. Even as she criticized you and stepped on you, you'd still be out there with a smile on
Sheri,
your
it would
face.
be so familiar to me to be able to have that experience. I would go,
Exactly.
I don't care that you're criticizing. I've been criticized my whole life by women. It's fine.
I'm used to it.
It's just fine.
You're a de-escalator. That's what they want. They want somebody that, this woman starts getting revved up and you can see in her face that she does not like the bride or she's jealous of the bride and the boy was her little mean forever. And you have to step in and, get her mind going someplace else.
I like the part is used to dealing with narcissistic people.
Excuse me. Do you remember the last 3 companies we worked for? This is a fast $1,000, and the Hudson Valley is beautiful this time of the year, my friend.
You just reminded me, Bob, on tomorrow's show, not only do we have the People's Movie Critic with clickbait, we have the ways to tell for sure that your boss is an awful narcissist.
Oh,
because the problem with working for a narcissist is they gaslight you and make you so crazy that after a while you don't even know what's real. But we're going to fix that for you. That's on tomorrow's show. Straight ahead. Our salute to the legendary, late, and truly great comic Norm Macdonald. It's next. It's Bob and Sheri. You guys, I am super psyched about what Raycon has done with their all-new everyday earbuds. They look and they feel and they sound better than ever. Now, granted, I do this for a living, right? So I'm in earbuds or headphones most of the day. I can't wait to get my regular radio headphones off my head and pop my Raycons in and head out with the dog. Because with Raycons and the new everyday Raycons, OMG. First of all, let's talk about how they look. Super duper cool. And how do they feel? Optimized gel tips. These are the most perfect in-ear fit. Even before you start listening to anything, you pop these in and you're like, oh, wait a minute, that's really comfortable. Now let's talk about the sound. With Raycon's new everyday earbuds, they've given you 3 new sound profiles because see, depending on what you're listening to, you need a different listening experience. You need a different kind of bass. So if you're in pure mode, you're listening to a podcast or maybe the blues or something instrumental. In balanced mode, you can listen to a podcast or you can listen to rock, even heavy metal rock. And in the bass mode, bring on the reggae and the EDM and the hip hop. There's even an all new awareness mode for when you need to be listening to your surroundings, which is great for me because y'all know how paranoid I am about the world, right? I'm out there with the dog and I'm walking on a woody trail, and with my Raycons, I'm listening to what I'm listening to, but I can hear what's happening in the outside world too. Plus 8 hours of playtime, a 32-hour battery life, built-in mic. So if a call comes in, you can take a call on your Raycons at the press of a button. All of this for half the price of other premium audio brands, but sound just as good and feel even better. All Raycons come with a 45-day happiness guarantee. If you spend a lot of time listening to anything, you deserve the best. You deserve Raycons. Go to buyraycon.com/Sheri. That's buyraycon.com/Sheri, and you can save 15% on your order. That's buyraycon.com/Sheri and save 15%. Can you tell I'm super psyched? I am, because this is a game changer. Buyraycon.com/Sheri, and then you can pop them in and get back to the Bob and Sheri podcast. Do you own or rent your home? Sure you do. And I bet that's hard work. But you know what's easy? Bundling policies with Geico. Geico makes it easy to bundle your homeowner's or renter's insurance policy along with your auto policy.
It's a good thing, too, because you already have so much to do around your home. Go to geico.com, get a quote, and see how much you could save. It's Geico easy. Visit geico.com today. That's geico.com.
It is time now with Bob and Sheri for Everyone Needs a Laugh, sponsored by Panera. I think we were all very saddened when we heard a couple of days ago that, really out of the blue, Norm Macdonald of Saturday Night Live passed away after a long, long private illness. He was not only on Saturday Night Live, he's not only an actor, he was a stand-up comedian too. And here's an example.
Hey, it's great to be here in San Francisco. This is the first week of the golf, and Tiger is my favorite golfer ever, and he's, he went to Stanford, if you guys don't know that, which is awesome. And I'm hoping this is his year, man, because I feel bad for the guy, and damn, it's too bad that happened and everything, and, whatever. I just hope he does good, that's all I'm saying. It was funny at the time it happened. You get so naive about things. You know what I mean? Like I remember I was outraged and everything. I don't know what the guy was thinking. I don't know what I thought his life was, but I remember at the time going, "What? I don't believe you. Are you telling me? Are you trying to tell me that guy is worth $6 billion? You're telling me that the world's greatest athlete over there, Tiger Woods? You're telling me that guy, that super handsome, charismatic dude, likes to lie down with ladies? I don't buy it. I don't buy that for 1 second. Doesn't make any sense. And then when it turned out to be true, I was all outraged like an idiot, I was like, I don't like hypocrites. I don't care for that. He always presented himself in public as a golfer. I would see him on TV be hitting a golf ball and a golf ball would get near the hole. That's what I thought. I didn't know he was leading some kind of double life where he was golfing by day and laying down with ladies at the night. If I'd known that, I never would have bought the Buick in the first place, Now, I'm driving down the street and a Buick, people snickering at me. I don't know what I thought his life was. I try to remember back, because when you look, of course, it makes complete sense, what do you think? He's like, hey, Tiger Woods, I just won the Tiger Slam. Why, I've sipped from the claret jug and I've hoisted the Wanamaker Trophy. Here I am trying on my second green jacket. What should I do tonight? I know, I'll go back to my hotel room alone, all by myself. That'll be fun. I understand there's a Card Sharks marathon on GSN tonight. I'll invite Mark Calcavecchio over and we'll have a grand old time together. What the I'll just get some room service. Hello. I'd like to... Oh, hi. What's your name? Christine. Yeah, listen, I'd like to get a chicken breast sandwich. No, I don't want I want a chicken breast sandwich. With a pickle. Can I get a pickle with it? Can I get an eighth of a pickle? Lengthwise sliced? So I would just have 1/8? Do you have anything like that down there? But see, I don't think that he's the people think of him as a sexual predator or something, but but I don't think that. I think the girls went after him, I don't think he's trolling through Perkins trying to find waitresses, I think it's he's in Perkins with his lovely wife enjoying a piece of pie, and then he leaves, and then the waitress runs out and she goes, "Oh, you forgot this thing, plus I'll more if you come back." He's like, "Oh, okay." So he has the temptations of the flesh all the time, and so you got to take that into account, And Tiger, he's not like us. He's not like a regular guy. He's like a rock star. A regular guy, you know what I mean? He doesn't have that much. Like a guy like me and you, how many times would we have a chance to commit adultery? In our whole lives, we might have 10 opportunities, Probably think it's 10, probably only 6. But so let's say it's 10. So we stray once. That's 10%, of our 10. Twice, 20%. Now, Tiger maybe had 60, 70 women. What about the 3 million that he didn't, that he could have? You got to factor those gals in, Now, when you do that, I did it on a little calculator. It turns out that Tiger only had sex with 0.000000002% of the women. He could now. Statistically, that's 0%. From a strictly mathematical point of view, Tiger is the most faithful man who ever lived. That's my point. So, God bless him, and I hope he does well at the Masters, because, he's got he's trying to catch Nicklaus and Snead and so forth, and, I've wasted 16 years of my life watching the guy, and he's got a date with destiny, and I'm not talking about some lady at the Spearmint Rhino. Literal destiny he has a date with.
The one and only Norm Macdonald. You can find that set and all the comics we feature at BOBANDSHERI.com. Still to come this week, the People's Movie Critic with Clickbait on Netflix. Plus, girl, that's cold. Angry, bitter divorce leads to a stolen brain. It's all coming up. It's Bob and Sheri.
Bob and Sheri, live tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern. Tonight, live on the Bob and Sheri Facebook page.
Well, things are a little bit better this morning, but I got attacked by fire ants. And
no. Oh, they're terrible.
When I went to bed last night, my left hand was swollen up like a big, bizarre balloon.
Wow.
Both my ankles are covered in bites and swollen. And the fire ants, when I stepped into, I'm super allergic to everything. Like, I don't even think I'm from this planet. I think I may be an alien hybrid. Every time I go outside, I have an allergic reaction to something. So I was stomping around, and I guess I stepped on the nest, and they swarm so fast, y'all. If you've never had a fire ant situation, you can't imagine how fast they moved. In a split second, I stepped on the nest. They swarmed both my ankles. And as I was jumping away and swatting at them, some of them started racing up my backside and started biting me on the butt cheeks, where I also have massive fire ant bite damage. And one of them, just one, because I smacked it and killed it, one of them bit me on the hand. One ant bite on my left hand caused my whole hand to swell up like a balloon.
Good Lord, Sheri, that is awful.
I have scratched myself bloody and raw on these bites. We had to go to the drugstore and get Benadryl gel to put on it, which actually, I have to say, shout out to Benadryl gel. It helps, but you just have to keep reapplying it. So I have fire ant bites all over both ankles, both booty cheeks, and my left hand is still like to the point where it's uncomfortable making a fist. What the heck? I mean, why is it? Why can't I even go outside now? Why am I supposed to be like a brain in a jar? This is so unfair.
All of that, and when your husband applies the gel, he says, "Hey, you feel like getting frisky?"
Oh, were you watching? I was like, would you mind look at these fire ants? And he's like, how did they get you there on your butt? I'm like, because as I was stomping and swiping at them, they're so diabolical. They know they're going to be slaughtered, but they're like kamikaze insects. They're willing to die for the cause. As I was swatting them and stomping on them, a couple of them said, Jim, I'm going down, but I'm getting her on the butt cheeks before I do. And I have fire ant bites like in the weirdest random places.
Oh my word. You know, fire ants, this is how long they've been around. Just before you and I got together on the air, which is quite a while ago, I was doing the TV show. And somebody sent me to Georgia to produce a story on fire ants. Fire ants started in this country, I think, in Florida, and then they began their march north. And I think they were in Georgia, at a farm in Georgia, and it was mid-July. And they said, Bob, I want you to produce this story about this problem with ants in a field on a farm in Georgia. And I said, yes, that's the kind of sexy work that I want to do.
Heck yeah.
I had no idea what they were, and it was like 100 degrees, and we are out literally kicking mounds to get these things to come out. And the farmer who was with us said, you better have like double socks. Your pants have got to be elastic banded. You don't want to mess with these things. And luckily, I did not become bitten. I haven't heard about them in many years. I can't believe that you were attacked.
I mean, in an instant, I was walking around. I saw something, and I thought, "What is that? I wonder what that is." And so, because I was walking on a little trail on a greenway, and so I went off the trail, and I'm tiptoeing up to see what it is, and I put my foot down, and at the same instant my foot hit the ground, I felt the stinging swarm on my right ankle. I jumped back. They landed on my left ankle. I started stomping. They ran up the back of my leg and started biting me on the booty.
Yeah, they are vicious.
Oh, my left hand. I'm going to send you guys a picture of my left hand, like what a freaking disaster it is. And I actually, about an hour after it happened, I was walking with my left hand in my pocket, and you can see the indentation of my pocket and everything puffing up on the other side.
Wow.
So basically, I'm never going outside again. And the same day that this happens, my husband goes, "Woman, it's too bad that you're such a city girl, because I sure would like to live out in the country away from people." And I'm like, I can't go outside in the country without being murdered. Are you kidding?
That's
all right. Coming up on the show, oh, you guys, this crazy Russian woman went into a facility where people store their brains. You know, those cryo frozen head things?
Yeah.
And she went buck wild in the frozen head storage zone. I'm going to bring it to you. It's coming up. What a day. What a story. You're not going to believe what was going on at this Russian frozen head facility. It's all straight ahead. It's Bob and Sheri.
Bob and Sheri, live tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern. Tonight, live on the Bob and Sheri Facebook page.
I've had so many wonderful messages from our listeners who were like, you know, just hang in there, girl. We know you're sad because you miss your kids, but everything's going to be okay. And I feel like things are getting slowly better by the day. Like it's been 5 days since I last broke down weeping. I went last weekend and visited one of my daughters. I'm going to go this weekend and visit the other one. And I've been like trying to do new fun things and not just spend all my days working and vacuuming and crying and looking at baby pictures. And so in the spirit of seeing me like doing a little bit better, my husband said, "Woman, you know what I bet would cheer you up? I bet it would cheer you up if you had another gargoyle for the yard." And I was like, you know, I kind of would like to have another gargoyle. I have a small gargoyle and a medium-sized gargoyle that I got for Christmas a couple years ago. But what
many therapists recommend this, by the way.
Well, what I've wanted is a big gargoyle, you know, that could be like tucked into the trees so that at night when I come up the driveway, my headlights pick them up and it's like, woo, you know, a little thrill. And gargoyles, by the way, are actually like, there's a reason the gargoyles guard cathedrals, right? Gargoyles are not just monsters or Halloween decorations. They have a lot of important symbolism. So my husband goes, you should get a big gargoyle. Why don't you go get a big gargoyle? So I called my girlfriend, Wendy, and I said, do you want to come with me to the statue place? It's about an hour and a half from here. and look at gargoyles. And she was like, I've just been waiting to be asked.
What's the name of the place? Like Gargoyles Are Us or something like that?
Metropole or Metropolisis or something. Anyway, so Kev goes, you can take my pickup truck so that, you don't have to try to put a gargoyle in your car. I was wow. That's outstanding. So now here's what I'm hearing him say. A big gargoyle would cheer you up, and one big enough to need my pickup truck. So I call Wendy back and I'm like, we're taking Kev's truck. So wear your Daisy Dukes and a flannel and your cowboy boots, because we're going to be country girls. We're going to blast the Jason Aldean and Luke Bryan, and we're going to head out into the boonies to get us a gargoyle. So that's what we did. We go to the statue place. We look at all the gargoyles, and I find the biggest one. And I was like, I would like that gargoyle right there. So I negotiate the price because he's a little weather beaten.
Do they all have the same face, basically?
No. There's a variety of gargoyles. I have 3 different gargoyles now. So this one was a little weather beaten, because you're going to be surprised to know that it's been sitting by the side of the road at this statue place since the 1960s, because no one's been interested in buying this giant gargoyle. So he looks awesome because he's real weathered. So I say to the lady at Statue Place, I will be having that gargoyle right there. And she looks at me like, finally a sucker. And she sends these 2 guys with one of those little gator vehicles and a forklift. And they get the gargoyle and they put him in the back of the truck. And I bring him home to my husband. And I pull up in the driveway. Now, in the back of Kev's pickup truck, this gargoyle is so big. He's lying on his back in the truck, but he's so big that you can see his head peeking over the side. That's how big he is. Okay. We get him home and Kevin goes, what is that? And I said, you told me that you thought a big gargoyle would make me happy. So I went and got a big gargoyle. He's like, woman, that thing must weigh 450 pounds. I was like, well, I don't know, because they put it in the truck with a forklift. He's like, how are we getting this gargoyle out of my truck?
Wow. This is a common problem, folks. So listen up. Go ahead.
And I was like, and he goes, how much did that cost? And I said, what happened to you wanted me to be happy and have a big gargoyle? Why are we suddenly nitpicking like the price and how much it weighs? Like, why are you turning into that guy? So we couldn't get it out of the truck. The gargoyle sat in Kevin's truck for 4 days. And he finally called one of his
that's
sons.
a good look for the neighbors.
If you think my one neighbor hates me now.
With a gargoyle in the back.
So he calls his son, Andrew, and he's like, Andrew, Ma, that's what they call me. Ma got wild hair and went out to the country, brought home a 450-pound cement gargoyle. And Andrew's like, what? Kev's like, I need you and your buddies to come over here and move it. So Andrew and his friend Hank drove over to our house in the middle of the workday and wrestled this 450-pound monster out of the back of Kevin's truck and set it up. And we have named him Garth. And I made like a little slideshow of how Garth came to live with us. And I'm going to post it up on our Facebook so you can see he's really magnificent, you guys. He is really awesome.
It sounds kind of crazy, but this to me is a real good investment in the quality and the value of your home. Because
when
somebody
Kevin
sees that house and the gargoyle, I mean, that's a closer right there.
I just sent you 3 a picture of it so you can see it. So when Kev started talking about like, woman, got 2 kids in college, really struggling. Did we really need to spend that money on a 450-pound gargoyle? That's when, and take a lesson, grasshoppers. That's when I turned to him and said, we don't go anywhere. We don't do anything. We don't go on vacation.
Well played.
I don't have chickens. You told me I could have chickens. Can I not have a 450-pound stone gargoyle at the top of my driveway?
I tell you, those are some big wings on that gargoyle.
Isn't he massive? Isn't he impressive? Yeah.
Very. Yeah.
I'm not allowed to borrow the truck anymore, by the way. I've lost my pickup truck privileges.
I bet.
I'm going to post this up on, I am much happier now, though. He's right. I'm going to post this up on Facebook. Y'all can look at Garth, the giant gargoyle living at my house. It's Bob and Sheri.
Bob Bob and Sheri, live tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern. Tonight, live on the Bob and Sheri Facebook page.
So earlier this hour, we featured Norm Macdonald, who just passed away after an extremely private 9-year battle with cancer. And if you've ever wondered what is the most Norm Macdonald thing you could do, it's fight cancer for 9 years without telling a living soul. He was only 61. It's such a loss. We were all such big fans. Norm Macdonald was a very interesting kind of comedian. He was a real storyteller, and he was a comedian who was able to take like all the air out of your like hypocrisy or, you know, cultural rage without ever once making you feel called out. Like you found yourself laughing at your own behavior before you even realized what he was doing. And he was really brilliant that way. And one of the things he's famous for is telling the world's longest, most convoluted joke. He went on the Conan O'Brien show like 7 years ago, and he told this joke that culminates in a visit to the SeaWorld at Niagara Falls to see the beluga whales. This joke takes more than 15 minutes to tell, but we were able, it's amazing. We were able to boil it down, and we'll post it on our Facebook so you can see the whole thing, but we were able to boil it down to like basically the final setup to the punchline. So the joke begins, Norm is Canadian, and he's telling Conan about this man from Canada named Jacques de Gautier, who he then encounters many miles down the road from the joke at SeaWorld in Niagara Falls.
But he showed me to the place I wanted to see, which is where they feed the little baby dolphins, because I love dolphins, you know. And who do I see there but Jacques de Gatineau? And here he is, he's feeding the baby dolphins. And I go up to him and I go, Jacques de Gatineau, I feel shame for you. You were our hope. You were to go to Canada, Canada's nation's capital of Ottawa. And you were to be a great man, Jacques de Gatineau. And we were all, we pinned all of Témiscamingue, Quebec, pinned our hopes on you. Now that's a hell of a burden for a man to have a town's hope pinned on them, isn't it, Conan?
It is a big burden.
So he was feeding these baby dolphins, and I said, I'm ashamed of you, Jacques de Gatineau. You could have done so many great things. And he said, I think I'm serving a youthful porpoise. Now, I believe that...
No! I knew that was going to happen. I knew that was going to happen.
You don't encourage that!
It's like...
That was a 40-minute story!
It's like somebody...
Youthful porpoise?
Youthful porpoise?
Yes!
Not porpoise.
I don't know. Good God!
I know. That was way out of line.
No, that was way out of... Who are you to criticize Oscar Pistorius?
It's like somebody saying, I got to show you something. They take you on a 4-mile hike to show you a dog turd. Look at it. Okay.
Well, there's your reel for CBS. We're getting this right to Les Moonves.
What's great about that is Norm Macdonald's TV debut as a stand-up, he walked out on stage and he started talking about how he didn't think you should have to pay more than $1 for a dog, and the audience just sat there. And the more the audience didn't laugh, the better time he had. And it took him about maybe a minute to have that audience rolling with laughter. And when you dissect it, there was no actual joke or no actual comedy. He made the audience laugh by sheer force of his presence and his commitment to this absolutely terrible material that he did on purpose. He was a great comedian and a really beloved guy. Norm Macdonald, It's Bob and Sheri.
Bob and Sheri, sponsored by Bank of America Customized Cash Rewards Credit Card. You can earn 3% cash back on online shopping, making the essentials even more rewarding. Here's Bob and Sheri.
We have a brand new phone number that is working. It doesn't ring yet at Max's place because Tony hasn't sent him a new phone with a functional ringer. But our new number is 844-52-52-SHERI. That's 844-52-SHERI. And Bob is a little, he's a little salty, but Tony tried and tried and tried, and we couldn't get a phone number that had Bob in it. So we just couldn't do it because your name is so common. But 844-52-SHERI. And Max told me this early today before we even started the show. He's like, I've just spent like hours listening to messages, and it's just amazing. So he's pulled a couple, and here they are.
I don't know if you can hear me, but me and my mom gone through something, and I asked my mom, does the Bob and Sheri show know if this year if it'll snow? And my mom said they won't know that. And then I said, well, what about Paris and Purim? Will they know?
Did he say, what about bears in Florida?
Here.
What did he say?
Okay, hang on.
He said, they won't know that. And then I said, well, what about Paris and Purim? Will they know?
I'm wondering if it's another show.
It's probably another show.
It's probably another show.
Son, we don't know anything. And if we don't know anything, these other shows know less than nothing. I promise you. We can't guarantee that it will snow. But I predict that if you live in the Northeast or the Midwest, you are bound to get some snow at some point this winter. What are your thoughts, Bob?
Well, what's thrown me is, of course, I don't know where the young man lives. If he lives in Arizona, I'm going to say, son, no. But like Sheri said, if it's above the Mason-Dixon line, yes. But you didn't fill us in. And as a listener, son, you let us down. Yeah, you came here asking for something, and you let us down with not enough information. I'm sorry. And as far as the Bears in Florida knowing whether or not it was going to snow, son, I don't know what kind of Tylenol your mother's giving you, but you're spaced out. You're spaced out, son. Try to pull your life together before it goes off the tracks forever, okay?
His little voice is so cute. Oh, my gosh.
So I have, we played that Adam Sandler phone, wallet, keys.
Yeah.
So we got a talk back about that.
Hi, Bob, Sheri, Max, and Doc. I thought it was so funny that you played Phone Wallet Keys by Adam Sandler because in college, a couple of years ago, I would always forget something when I left the house. And after my friend showed me that video, I always use that before leaving the house. I would always sing to myself, like literally out loud. I would think or say, phone wallet keys, phone wallet keys. And it worked like a charm. I never forgot my keys again. And once the pandemic hit, and there was a mask mandate in my area, I always had to add one more thing, the mask. So I would always have to sing phone wallet keys mask, phone wallet keys mask.
It's so true. It's so true. If he had not said that, I was going to. Because that's what you have to do now. Phone, wallet, keys, and a mask. Or you're going back.
Wallet, keys, wallet, keys. Good things come in trees. Need my phone, wallet, keys.
We played this. This was in my head. This was the earworm in my head for the next 3 days.
Oh, no.
Wallet, keys. If I'm going out to a wedding, if it's wintertime and I'm sledding, if I'm at that daddy-daughter dance, my phone, wallet, keys are in my pants. I'm going on vacation to the West Indies. And I don't got no luggage, just got phone, wallet, keys. I roll on up to the airport. Lady asked for my passport. Okay. Guess I need my phone, wallet, passport, keys. Phone, wallet, passport, keys. Now I need 4 things, bitch, please. Phone, wallet, passport, keys. I'm on the plane, I'm riding Delta. The lady farted next to me, I smelt her. We built up 30,000 feet. I recline my seat. Down to watch a movie shop. I forgot my laptop. Damn it. Now I need my laptop, phone, wallet, passport, keys. Laptop, phone, wallet, passport, keys. Laptop, phone, wallet, passport, keys. I'm swinging my all over the place. I'm hurting ya. I'm carrying so much I got a hernia. No place to put it. What should I do? Probably should take my iPad too. What else did I forget?
Sandman, you need tons of shit.
My Tic Tacs, my backpack, my Zippo.
Our new phone number is 844-52-SHERI. Or if you have our app, it's free in Google Play and the Apple Store. You tap the little microphone at the bottom of the screen and talk, and your message will automatically come to us. It's Bob and Sheri.
Bob and Sheri, live tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern. Tonight, live on the Bob and Sheri Facebook page.
I was reading a story about this man who escaped from prison and was on the run for like 29 years and on the most wanted list. And he finally turned himself in, and he has the greatest name for a criminal. Are you ready? Hold on. Here it comes. His name is Darko Desic. D-A-R-K-O. Desic. And
that's not even a James Bond villain. That's got to be a Marvel villain. Yeah.
And he's actually, I mean, I'm looking at his mugshot. He's a pretty good looking guy. So, you know, he's the brooding, dark and handsome Darko Desic. He was serving time and he escaped. This happened in Australia. He escaped out of jail in 1992 and he went on the run and he took up residence in a very expensive beach area. And he did odd jobs for cash for local wealthy families. And he made a living that way for 29 years. And then COVID hit. And the wealthy families that he was doing maintenance work and odd jobs for, all for cash, you know, everything under the table. Right. They no longer were hiring because, I don't know if you pay attention to the news, but when Australia puts you in lockdown, you in lockdown. The Australian lockdowns are hardcore. And so he was no longer making any money and he could no longer pay his rent. So he lost his housing and he'd been living on the beach. And so at 64 years old, after 3 decades on the run, Darko said, you know what? Enough. I need a roof over my head. He turned himself in because he didn't want to live on the beach anymore in Australia.
Wow.
Yep. Yeah.
He was literally living on the beach like something out of a surfing movie in the 1960s.
Yep. But only because COVID took away his source of income. So what was he in jail for? His original sentence was just under 4 years. He was caught growing marijuana. And then in the middle of the night, in August of 1992, he somehow got his hands on a metal hacksaw and he cut through the bars of his jail cell windows and squeezed out just like a Looney Tunes cartoon.
It sounds like the Andy Griffith Show. Are you kidding? He got a hacksaw. Did they bring it to him in a cake?
In a cake, baked? Yeah. That's the part I don't know. So all these years, he was profiled on Australian's version of Most Wanted when somebody thought they spotted him. And his face has been on posters in post offices in Australia for 3 years, but he's been very quietly living under the name Doug. His wealthy clients called him Dougie.
Because Darko Desic.
But he
I'm not Darko, I'm Doug.
Doug. He walked himself to the local police station and asked to speak with someone. And an officer came out and he said, I'm Darko Desic. I'm on the run. I broke out of prison in 1992. I'm looking for a bed and 3 meals a day. And there he is.
You know what's interesting about this story, aside from the obvious comedic possibilities, is that he was arrested for growing marijuana. Today, I don't know Australia's laws, how strict they are, but say it was the United States. Today, that could be a misdemeanor. He might be able to get off, depending on how much weed he was growing. That's how much things have changed since 1992.
Well, the thing that's you're so right, and the thing that's interesting about it is his original prison sentence wasn't very long. It was 3 years and 8 months. So not only now does he have to serve his original prison sentence, but he's facing another 7 years for breaking out of jail in the first place. But Darko's like, yeah, that's cool. I'll just do my time till COVID's over, and then I'll go back to working on the beach for cash. It just shows you that all around you, seriously, listen, all around you, all these strangers that you pass in your day-to-day, you know, at the grocery store, the gas station, whatever, they are living lives and keeping secrets like you would not imagine.
Yeah.
I saw a Reddit thread.
Didn't somebody once say that in the course of your lifetime, you will pass by, without knowing it, probably 8 murderers?
8 murders, yeah. Well, yeah. I was on a Reddit thread not that long ago, and it was all people that work in hospice, healthcare workers who take care of the elderly in nursing homes and hospice care. Mm-hmm. And one of them posted, "You wouldn't believe the deathbed confessions that we hear. People just really? Casually confessing to murder before they die."
Oh my goodness. Is that
and
right?
when you look at the number of unsolved crimes on the books, it makes sense, doesn't it?
Yep.
All right, straight ahead. You think your breakup was bad? You think your divorce was ugly? Well, girl, it wasn't this cold. This woman stole some frozen brains. It's next. It's Bob and Sheri.
You read it once.
I don't believe that.
And then you read it again.
I can't believe this.
It's Bob and Sheri's.
I don't believe this shit.
I cannot believe this.
Hell hath no fury like a really ticked off woman going through an ugly divorce. That's the first thing to remember. The second thing to know is that human beings are maybe not supposed to be immortal, even though we've been chasing immortality since the very beginning of our species on this earth. About 82 people made arrangements to have their bodies and brains frozen with hopes of having their brains transplanted into new bodies. It's this cryogenic thing that we've talked about before on the show. This is a cryo storage company in Russia, in Moscow, that was owned by a husband and wife. And 82 people, including many from America and Europe and Great Britain, chose to spend right around $50,000 to have their whole bodies frozen. Or if you were looking for a discount option and you just were willing to freeze your brain in a container, that was right about $22,000. So 82 human beings.
I'm not giving up this body, Sheri. I'm not giving up this body.
Oh, hell no.
I'm kicking in for that 25.
So
I mean, just for the sake of, well, just go ahead.
82 human beings passed away and arranged to have their frozen bodies stored until they could be brought back to life at some point in the future when the technology was available. But the owners of the company, Valeria Udalova, and her husband, whose name is Danila Medvedev, ran the company together until the marriage went south and they began the process of divorcing. And it was a really bitter divorce. So the wife, Valeria, set up her own separate company, and she and her staff raided the cryo facility and stole the remains of people and held them hostage to punish her soon-to-be ex-husband. Police were called and intercepted the cargo of human remains, many of which had begun melting because they were not kept in the exact level of liquid nitrogen they're supposed to.
Yeah. They
were able to recover all of the remains except for the brain of one person, which Valeria kept in a special medical box. Along with some of the other remains that were stolen were the frozen bodies of dozens and dozens of dogs and cats that owners were hoping to bring back to life in the future. Now, the story is that the husband was cheating and started a new life with another woman, and Valeria just wasn't having it, which is why she complained that she had been, not only was he a cheater, but that he had unfairly booted her from their company, that she is the rightful owner of the remains and the brains. And that is why she raided the place and stole them. So now we have...
This is, you know what this is? This is a very dark comedy.
Very dark. And this is going to be a heck of a movie. Heck of a movie. But now we have multiple frozen bodies and brains of wealthy people that have been snatched by an angry ex-wife. And this bitter divorce is the reason why some of these folks in the future, if this technology ever gets invented, will not be able to have their brains transplanted into new, younger bodies. How nuts is this story? This is real and legit. And I'm going to post all the details and photos up on the Bob and Sheri Facebook here in just a minute.
The movie could be called Dying to Be Alive. And the scene at night of her going and getting was obviously some accomplices, those bodies, and putting them into vans and then driving them. And then all of a sudden, what about the head? What about the head? I've got the head. Don't worry about and then the intrigue of the husband cheating, which I think he was doing, by the way, adds a little bit of spice to the whole thing. That's a dark movie, like a Coen Brothers movie.
And the tagline would be, it stars Nicole Kidman, of course, as the crazy ex-wife. Not even crazy, just really angry ex-wife who steals the frozen brains. The tagline is, even the best marriage can turn cold. And you just see
that's right.
the mist from the frozen nitrogen. I just want you to imagine that your loved one, whoever this person is, who has arranged to have their brain frozen, and it's being stored in Moscow, and maybe the whole family thinks it's crazy or whatever, but that's granddad's head. And then you get a phone call that the couple that own the company are breaking up and the wife has stolen your grandfather's head and we can't find it. You understand, this is actually happening to people right now all over the world who are getting these phone calls.
And it may just be that you don't end up coming back and spending eternity in some beautiful place in the world. You end up in Russia. And that is not what most Americans want.
You end up in Russia in somebody's meat locker because that's the coldest place they could find to keep you. You guys, this is one of the wilder true stories that's come across in a while. Go check it out on our Facebook and look at the pictures. It does make you wonder, what the heck were people thinking? It's Bob and Sheri.
Bob and Sheri, live tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern. Tonight, live on the Bob and Sheri Facebook page.
It is time now on the Bob and Sheri Show for What's a Guy Gotta Do? I go to Ranker and I take a look at the story of heroes. And then people rank them, whether or not this guy, this woman, is a real hero or not a hero. So let's find out what they thought about this fella. In June 1944, the U.S. Army and Allied forces launched a campaign in Japanese-occupied Saipan, Philippines. It would be one of the most critically important operations carried out by the Allies in World War II. Once battleships cleared the way with heavy artillery, 8,000 Marines made landfall. Among them was Sergeant Thomas Baker, leading the way for his 27th Infantry Division with a bazooka on his shoulder. Baker and company pushed the Japanese to a point of no retreat. Instead of surrendering, the Japanese pushed with a final banzai charge. Banzai! And they came running at the Americans. With the perimeter closing around him and his unit, Baker held his ground and returned fire until he ran out of ammunition. He was wounded during the fray, and a fellow soldier began dragging him away from the front line. Not wanting to be a burden, Baker insisted that he be left behind. He was left propped up against a tree with an 8-round pistol. After the battle, the deceased Baker's body was found in the same position, with all 8 rounds fired and 8 deceased Japanese soldiers in his path. For his heroism, Sergeant Thomas Baker was awarded a posthumous Medal of Honor. So we go to Ranker and the people who go to Ranker. Is he a true hero? 3,341 people said, yes, he is a true hero. 27 numbnuts said, no, that's not a hero. What's the guy gotta do? He said, don't save me. Save yourself. Prop me up against a tree and give me a handgun. And let me take on the charging Japanese army. What's a guy gotta do?
What's in the mind of these people, Sheri?
I'm telling you, we're at a point in our history where people are like, yeah, whatever. I mean, that's his job. That's what he signed up for. You know that's what they say.
You know, I had my own version of this just the other day. Can I share it with you?
Mm-hmm.
I was not in any danger, but I believe I told you that the wrought iron railing, the entrance to our house, was all rusted. And I went out there. I spent like hours. This is actual manual labor, Sheri. Manual labor, okay? And it was very hot outside. I scraped it down with sandpaper, and then I took a bristle thing and I scraped it some more. And then, painstakingly, I primed it. I had never primed anything in my life. I primed it, and then it dried overnight. And then the next day I came out with a shiny black paint, and I painted intricate little parts in the wrought iron it's got all these crevices. And it took me a couple of more hours out there. And when I finished, I called for my wife, my bride, to come out. I said, baby, come on, see what I've done for the entrance to the house. And she came out, and she looked down at it, and she said, it's still wet, huh? I went, yep, it's going to start drying, though. And she said, did you consider that there are a lot of bugs this time of the year, and some of the bugs might land on it and kind of mess it up? What's a guy got to do? What's a guy?
Find them up in the parking lot. It's Bob and Sheri.
Get the free Bob and Sheri app and instantly get the podcast, the Oddcast, and Bob and Sheri Fun Size.
Okay, here's the headline. Arrests made for digging up dinosaur tracks in Holyoke, Massachusetts. Let me just read this to you. According to the Holyoke police captain, Matthew Moriarty, at about 3 p.m, officers were called to the dinosaur tracks, which is a reservation area where there are actually dinosaur tracks, and people can come and view them. It's right off of the Connecticut River. It's a wonderful park. Officers found 2 men carrying tools and slabs of rock. They told the officers they believed they were not digging on the dinosaur reservation area, that they were digging in another part of the area, and that just wasn't a problem. But here's the problem for the guys. How do you explain that in the middle of the day, and by one guy is 41, the other one's a little bit younger. How do you explain that you and your buddy, grown adults, are carrying a big rock with the footprint of a dinosaur and you weren't digging in the dinosaur area, and you have picks and shovels? I guess it could have. I can't tell you, though. You know, when I think about it, I can't tell you how many times my friend Bob and I have been out, and I'd call him up and I'd say, you want to go out in the woods and just dig up some rocks and carry it over to the trunk of my car? What do you you do? I do too. All right. You got a pick? Great. Let's go. Come on. That's the worst excuse. We weren't digging in the dinosaur area. Come on.
You know what's so hateful about this is when you dig up the dinosaur tracks and take them home and put them in your mom's basement or whatever, you just prevented everybody else from seeing and experiencing the dinosaur tracks. It's selfish.
It's so selfish
and stupid because you can't sell it, right? It's not like you did this for money because, you needed to buy a kidney or whatever. It's just selfish and stupid and hateful.
You think that they were going to keep it for themselves and just go down and look at it? I think they were going to try to fence it. I think they were going to try to sell it to somebody. A dinosaur track?
Yeah, there's got to be somebody out there that wants that and is willing to pay a lot of money for it.
I've read a lot about the illegal sale of historical artifacts and archaeological artifacts, and it does happen. You're absolutely right. Here's the problem. Right. Let's say you're a dinosaur nut with all the money in the world, and you buy those tracks. You can't display them, and you can't ever resell them because they're stolen. So what you are basically is a Scrooge McDuck, selfish, hateful hoarder who needs a beating.
I'm going to disagree with you a little bit because I think these guys are numbskulls, so I don't know how they would find the right person. But there are people throughout the world with a lot of money, and if there's a stolen work of art, they'll pay for the stolen work of art, and they keep it in their mansion. If you could find the person with the bucks, I think that you could find somebody that would be quiet about it, and they'd keep it in their house.
I've read not too long ago about a stolen artwork. It was stolen during World War II, and it was taken out of its frame. That's how they got it out of the gallery. They took it out of the frame, they rolled it up, and they stuffed it. And you might remember this because it hit the news feeds. It was in your news feed about 10 seconds because then Kylie Jenner did something and that choked everything out. But they stuck it like inside a wall in a home in Italy. And there it sat for all those years, becoming damaged and brittle. So they stole it. They robbed it from the world and then stuffed it into a dark corner where it was forgotten, where nobody, including the thieves, were ever able to enjoy it again. That's why I say you're a Scrooge McDuck hoarder who's selfish and awful and hateful, and you need a beating.
These guys don't look like, I'm looking at them, they do not look like the sort of guys that just are going to enjoy, the art of the dinosaur foot. These are two guys that are going to try and make some money. And you know what would happen? They're so stupid. They wouldn't be able to find the nefarious multimillionaire that would give them the big money. And they'd end up selling it for something like, $500 or something like that and destroy part of that dinosaur field.
Or they'll find a buyer, and as they're carrying it into the meeting, they'll drop it in the parking lot and shatter it.
That's the other one. Yeah, that's right.
Like a third version of Dumb and Dumber. This is more.
They are like that. I mean, what's the likelihood? I'm looking at the opening of this park, and it's a park. People go there. The school trips go there. What's the likelihood that you're going to spend some time digging up part of this rock formation and walk out with a dinosaur foot, and nobody's going to say anything?
Idiot. You're just an idiot.
That's right.
It's
fool. Bob and Sheri.
Bob and Sheri, live tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern. Tonight, live on the Bob and Sheri Facebook page.
We were just talking about these two idiots in Massachusetts that went into this park and dug up and stole some fossilized dinosaur tracks. Just fools, right? Have you guys watched or seen it pop up in your queue? There's a show on Netflix called This Is a Robbery, the world's biggest art heist.
I've watched it twice. I loved it so much.
So you've watched it. It's about the this woman, Isabel Stewart Gardner, who created a namesake in her a museum named after herself in her home, and she was hoping that it would exist forever. And then she died in the 1920s, and her museum kind of fell into trouble financially. And by 1990, everybody in the criminal world knew that the security was ridiculous, like that you could so easily break in. So a couple of thieves tricked the guards on duty one night into letting them inside. The thieves were dressed in police uniforms that they had stolen. They pretended to be cops responding to a 911 call about because there was a St. Patrick's Day celebration taking place outside the museum. And so they pretended that's why they were there. Once they got inside, they overpowered the guards. They disabled the security cameras, and they began taking the paintings out of their frames. And at a little before 3 o'clock in the morning, they made two separate trips to their car. That's how long it took them to get all the art out. And the guards had their mouths duct taped shut, were left in the basement of the museum until the police found them there the next morning. They stole masterpieces. They stole Vermeer. They stole Rembrandt. But they left the very most expensive work, the most valuable work in the museum untouched. It was on the 3rd floor. I don't know whether they didn't know that it was so valuable or they ran out of time. But one of the things you'll watch, and Max can talk about this when you watch the show, what they stole was so random it didn't make any sense. It's been like a mystery in the art world forever. Max, you jump in.
Yeah, I think the thing that they said was somebody had inside knowledge of what was going on there, which is why initially they thought perhaps the guards themselves were somehow complicit with this. But I don't think that that's the case now. And the thieves that took them knew a little bit about the art, but not enough. And they've been able to track down who they think it is, but they still don't know where the art is. But I will say that one of the things that I sort of learned from that was that the mob gets involved with stealing works of art as an exchange to be able to get people's sentences and whatnot reduced, because they want the art back so much. They're willing to do that to negotiate with. So apparently that's a thing. And so they believe that there is some sort of a mob connection through this.
Yeah, with the two individuals that the FBI thinks are the thieves are linked to some gangster named Carmen Merlino. I do believe, isn't that right?
Yeah.
The museum right now is offering a $10 million reward for anybody that can give them information that leads to the safe return of the artwork. This was a huge story, but it was, I don't know, it happened in the 90s. This is a huge story that seemingly got very little attention.
And one of the things that they do is you're going through it, there's a lot of players that are involved with this that have connections to it, but there's two in particular, and you go, let me see those police sketches again, because it's obvious that they know who did it, and it's been, I don't know, a few months since I've seen it. Now, I as I recall, I think they're both passed away, I think. I'm not 100% sure on that one, but
don't you always think that? Don't you think that art thieves are kind of like the Robin Hoods, or I don't want to say good guys, but the not so bad guys of robbery, because of the Thomas Crown Affair movies? You know, it's a good-looking guy. He's not really hurting anybody. It's art. It's rich people. They don't need this. Yeah. They don't need that.
That's movies. This is mobsters.
Guys.
They're bad guys. They really are.
Like, the thing is, you can think about works of art that are in the world's museums as belonging to all of humanity. And when these people steal them just so some oil baron or Russian gangster can have a Picasso in his bathroom, that just ticks me off. That's like that is robbing civilization of its most precious treasures.
Speaking of paintings, I saw a cartoon in the New Yorker, I think it was last week. There's a mother, and this is in the olden days, there's a mother, and she's in the kitchen, and she's looking at her daughter, and her daughter is drawn as the Mona Lisa, and the mother is saying, "Get that grin or whatever it is off your face. I'm sick of looking at it."
Straight ahead, we're going to open up the vault, dust something special off for you. It's Bob and Sheri.
Now, let's open up the Bob and Sheri Archive Vault.
I'm very, very lucky. I have not only a wife, but I have the Uber at work wife. Sheri Lynch. I'm like the first guy who ever had an at-work wife, you know?
You were the first, I think.
Yeah. You never heard that expression prior to me.
A lot of guys have gotten them since, but I do think you had one first.
I really do. And it can be good, yes, very fine, but sometimes not so good. I would like you to do me a favor.
What's that?
Do not text what I am doing here to my wife at home. Do not let her know what I'm doing, because I'm not up to anything bad over here, right?
The
other day, you texted her.
Most of the dumb crap you do, you say into the microphone.
Well, that's the other thing.
And she actually sound travel through Sky. She hears
you. text her last week, and you said, he's very, very fidgety, unusually fidgety today. He's up, he's down.
Oh, no,
he's very fidgety today.
I didn't text her. I tweeted that and posted on Facebook.
I
You
told the
everyone.
world. Yeah, I didn't just tell your wife. Just so that you know.
Well, she
that
reads. She
I
follows
didn't-
you.
I wasn't discriminatory. I went ahead and told. I said,
She
"Little
follows
naughty
you.
is extra hopped up today."
Why'd you say a thing like that?
Because you were.
She's looking at me
You were
the rest of
drumming
the
and
day.
twitching.
I
and
couldn't
singing.
move. If I wasn't sitting there petting the cat calmly or dozing, I was. She's super focused on my every movement.
Well,
you
know,
can't do that to
on
me.
the plus side, you've always been a person who really wanted attention, and I give you a lot of attention. I write down the dumb things you say. I tweet your behaviors. I mean, you get a lot of attention.
That's not
from
what I
me.
had in mind
That's
when
the
I was
plus
thinking of
side.
attention.
How many other people do you know? Like, I haven't had a reading from the Book of Bob in a while. How many other people do you know who get as much focused attention as you get?
Not as much to be said for it as you might think. So my wife is a very good cook, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she likes to cook every night. If I try to cook, she's suspicious. And that hurts my feelings because
you can cook some
I can
things.
cook some things.
Yeah.
Most of the things that I cook her children don't like. But I can grill. And so she went out to Boy Scouts last night. And I was alone. I said, don't worry about me. I'm going to cook for myself. I'm going to get a piece of salmon. And I'm going, eyes on me. You have to look
I'm
at
just
me.
checking the Book of Bob
Don't
to
worry
see
about
what's
that.
similar.
I
Go on.
can't do this if you don't look at me. And so I can't. You can't be reading something else
Max,
while I'm talking. It's
hey,
like
Max,
you don't care what I'm
Max,
saying.
I'm the only bee that doesn't get a house out of this deal. Do you notice that?
It's not too late.
She's not even. I don't even get like a Barbie dream house for my kids. I get nothing.
Back to me.
Yes, my eyes are on you. Yes.
So you're not the only one with problems at the house. So she goes out to Boy Scouts last night, and so I'm alone, and I bring out the grill. I'm out in the garage, and I bring the grill out into the driveway, and I got the grill going, and I got my salmon on
Are
there.
you cooking for everybody or just
No, just me.
Just for yourself?
Yeah. So I said, geez, I feel like a baked potato. And I went up, we have a bag of baked potatoes, but they're small ones, very, very small baked potatoes. I like a bigger one. I went, that's all right. So I put it in there in the microwave, and I always put it on 15 minutes, right? So I go out. That's what I found out. So I go out, and I'm cooking my salmon out there, and I go, this is nice. I had a little glass of wine, and I come in. The microwave is on fire. And I'm not exaggerating. I'm looking in. There is a campfire inside my damn microwave.
15 minutes is a long.
I didn't realize. I'm cooking several baked potatoes.
Yeah, for 4 or 15.
I
maybe.
didn't know you backed it down. All right, and this is a small baked potato. Baked potato
Hey,
is black with flame shooting up like it's a volcano.
And your microwave, if I remember right, is built in, right?
No, it's free, but it's under the cabinets.
That'll be easier to replace.
Smoke is, let me put it this way. I can't see the ceiling in the kitchen. The alarm now is going off from CPI. The alarm is going off. But, the only thing I was thinking about, I wasn't really thinking about safety or the house. Or
You were so ticked because you weren't going to get a baked potato.
No, that too. But the other thing is she's going to come home.
Oh, yeah.
And it is going to give her such power and information, and she'll be able to refer back to my lack of being. In other words, you can't even nuke a baked potato, right?
Well, plus you gave whoever took your monitoring call a laugh.
I know.
Because they don't get that every day.
I had to tell them
either.
that.
You cooked a baked potato for how long?
So Madison comes out. My stepdaughter comes out. What is going on? What's happening here? I can't see you. And I'm going, it's nothing. Something went wrong with the microwave.
Oh, now it's the microwave's fault.
I couldn't blame the cat. So I throw up all of the windows in the house because she's due. Herself is due in about 30 minutes. And I'm thinking I might be able to do this. And I get out the air purifier. I got that thing up on high. I got the vent thing going on high. I got all of the windows open. And I'm just trying to air the darn place out. The smoke went out the windows.
But you can still tell.
I couldn't tell because I've been in it for so long. So I just waited very quietly upstairs. And here comes the car. And she gets out of the car. And she opens the door, 1 foot in. What is that smell? I blew it. I totally blew it. So now I have no credibility at all cooking.
Oh, the horror.
You can hear more from the Bob and Sheri archives at bobandsheri.com.
Bob Bob and Sheri, live tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern. Tonight, live on the Bob and Sheri Facebook page.
I've been thinking about this little statistic that I saw, and there's not a lot of detail around it. It's really simple. 37% of people are hiding either a purchase, a bank account, or cash from a partner or spouse. 37%.
What's the percentage? 37%? Wow.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
So now I can see hiding a purchase. I mean, I don't know how people get away with hiding big purchases like a bass boat, but it would just be a burden on Kevin to know how many pairs of shoes I have, for example, right? So he doesn't need to worry about that.
Mm-hmm.
He's too pretty for that. But to hide a bank account or a major purchase
or cash,
like how do you do that? Now, out of that 37%, I'll break it down because I took a screenshot of it when I saw it. The majority of them were hiding cash, 21%. Then another 20% were hiding minor purchases. 12% were hiding a statement, like an investment statement or a bill. And 6% said, I am hiding an entire bank account and or a major purchase that he or she knows nothing about, and they're never going to know.
37% seems a little high, but maybe not, you know? I'm always curious as to what the relationship is between the man and the woman, if that is the case, or the partner and the partner, because that is a lie. I mean, it's the withholding of information, which is basically a lie in a relationship like that. I had a connection to a family once, and the guy had no idea that the wife did not work outside of the house. And she took the paycheck. He just came home and he worked his butt off during the week. He worked in a factory, so they were not rich people. But he had a really good job. I think it was a union job. And she would cash the check. And then she would take part of it and, give him some spending money. And then she would take a little part of it and put it literally in a Maxwell coffee can and hide it somewhere. And she had thousands over the years, thousands and thousands of dollars. And I got the information through her daughter. And I said, why did she do that? I mean, they're married. Well, she didn't totally think that he was a completely trustworthy person. Not that he'd be cheating on her, but that he was he had some issues with substance and so on. And she just felt that she needed some running away money.
Isn't it funny how we're like, you do not seem like a really trustworthy person. I am going to agree to marry you, but I'm going to have some running away money.
I know you have to ask yourself, did she find out he was not that trustworthy later on? Did she have some suspicion? Did she overlook it?
And why are we so willing to overlook it? Like, you're not very trustworthy. I will marry you and have your children, but I will also have this slush fund over here.
You know why? And I'm not the therapist. The reason she would marry him was because that's what she's used to.
Yeah, maybe that was what was familiar. Or maybe
that's what was familiar.
Maybe every other thing about him was absolutely wonderful. And he just wasn't 100% trustworthy. Who's perfect, right? You know what we did to the last perfect man. So he's so good in other ways. He's thoughtful and considerate, and he's a great cook, and he's a good kisser. So he's not 100% trustworthy.
I don't know about the kissing, but I knew the guy, and he was none of what you just described.
Do you think that she ended up married to him just because it was time, and that's what was next?
I think she was coming out of a previous marriage, which just did not work out, and this guy was kind of a good-looking guy, He had that little thin mustache, he had a little swagger about him. And kind of a sexy guy. Now, as the years went on, the sexiness kind of faded, right? Is not in great shape. And he was very selfish, a very selfish person. I think he had a good heart, but he was a very selfish person. And she just said, someday he just may go off the deep end, and I need money.
A good-hearted, selfish person.
I think it was a guy
in love with a money scheming gal. You could write a country song about that.
I mean, people are fluid. You can be good-hearted and things are going okay, and then your life hits some rocky patches, and all of a sudden you become, a little jaded or whatever. Maybe he's drinking too much. I didn't know him that well, but he was no saint, and I knew her, and she was just saying, I'm a woman and I need to make sure that I'm going to be okay.
I do believe that no matter who you are and how wonderful you are or your relationship is, every adult person should have a little bucket of money that they don't have to explain or defend. Like, you should not have to explain every single thing you buy. You shouldn't have to justify mascara or a fishing lure or whatever. Sometimes
or shoes.
Right. Sometimes I think that people start getting squirrely with money because the other person is so freaking controlling about it. You have nothing. Just because I said I do doesn't mean that I have nothing that's my own. I have to answer to you for everything, old man. I got to answer you for everything.
That's right.
I don't think so.
And do your laundry. Yeah, that's right.
I don't think so. It's Bob and Sheri.
Hey, thank you so much for listening to the Bob and Sheri podcast and the Bob and Sheri Oddcast. We would love if you would subscribe, rate and review, and share it with a friend on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, wherever you go. And thank you again for listening.
Hey, I'm EJ Dixon.
And I'm Brittany Spanos.
We're both Rolling Stone writers. Brittany covers pop music, fandom, and race.
And EJ reports on everything internet culture related, from influencers to far-right extremist groups to OnlyFans.
And we both spend an insane amount of time on TikTok.
Literally so many hours.
Every single day.
My feed is all wacky family stories, aesthetically pleasing cooking videos, and hot guys.
And mine is primarily Y2K makeup tutorials, true crime conspiracy theories, and bisexual thirst traps.
So it feels right that we put all those hours of scrolling and laughing at our phones to more productive use.
That's why we're hosting Don't Let This Flop, a weekly podcast about what's happening on TikTok.
We'll keep you up to date on the big trends, the wackiest stories, and who is who in the TikTok extended universe.
There'll be interviews with content creators we follow, fellow journalists who have reported brilliantly on the app, and much more.
As fellow millennials, we understand how overwhelming it can be to try to keep up with who's dating who, what dance is trending, or who's getting canceled.
So we've created this podcast to try to keep you and us up to speed.
You don't want to miss it. Subscribe to us on Apple, Spotify, and anywhere else you get your podcast fix.
And please, don't let this flop.
We're joking, but also not really.